Enzo Maresca is officially Chelsea Football Club manager. And although his job doesn't officially start until July the 1st, the preparation will very much be beginning now. But what do we know about Enzo Maresca? How will he set up with this Chelsea team and what tactics will he be using? Well, myself and my good friend and channel fan favourite, Josh Aveste, are going to do a deep dive into everything that we can expect from Enzo Maresca'S Chelsea. Josh?
Fucking hell, I got so excited, mate. I fucking smashed the microphone.
He's nearly took the mic off.
Jesus.
Enzo Maresca will be looking to take the roof off of Stamford Bridge. We have already reacted to the appointment. So let's start off with what we know about Enzo Maresca, and we're going to start off with the formation. Now, the formation that Enzo Maresca has typically played, and I will prerequisite this by saying formations are almost a thing of the past in football nowadays. You might line up in a certain formation, but as the game progresses, as you defend, attack, in, out of possession, things will change. But for the most part, Enzo Maresca, as Leicester manager, played a 4-3-3. Fan of that formation?
We've had some good teams, haven't we, at Chelsea with 4-3-3?
We've had some great teams at Chelsea with 4-3-3.
Do you know what? The 4-2-3-1 and the 4-3-3 are relatively similar, aren't they? And really, we saw our players getting the most out of the 4-2-3-1 last season. We are a winger team, and we're less of a wing-back reliant team now, aren't we, really, in terms of like traditional bombing on wingers. So I feel this formation suits us best.
I think under Enzo Maresca, the whole sort of wing-backs bombing on could well be a thing of the past, if we're honest. So the 4-3-3 formation is what you would usually opt with. However, as the team would attack, which you would imagine, you would hope Chelsea will be doing a lot of attacking this season, as the team would attack, you'd almost end up with 5 players up there. So you would have one of the 3 from the midfield, or 2 of the 3 more likely actually push up, almost become not second strikers, but they'd be playing a little bit more centrally just off the back. Now, it would be our assumption that Enzo Fernandez is going to be one of these players that is pushed further forward. We saw him in the 10 a couple of times earlier on this season, and I don't think it really suited him. There's still, barring that tremendous free kick against Aston Villa, a little bit to be desired about Enzo Fernandez's actual goal-scoring abilities. He scored a couple.
Goal was good.
Come on, he sit his man down.
That was very good. He took about 3 chances, didn't he?
Yeah.
He could have had 3 shots in that moment.
So maybe we'd be right to say that Enzo Fernandez would be the player that's going to benefit the most from this. If we had, let's say, for example, a Conor Gallagher as one of the 3 in midfield, even I wouldn't rule out the possibility of having a Cole Palmer as one of the 3 in midfield, then we might possibly see those 2 guys pushing up. But in terms of the defender that's most likely to join into the pivot, we would say that it's probably going to be Cucurella, and he's probably going to be alongside Caicedo. However, Reece James is there, and he's a player that we've spoke about seeing more centrally. Do you think there's any chance we see Reece in a way more central position rather than bombing up the flanks? Do you think there's any chance that Enzo opts to use him as a partner, as a pairing when we're in attack with Caicedo?
When I was looking at it, and you look at his formations, wasn't he mainly inverting the right-hand side winger at Leicester as well? The right-hand side wing back.
He was, and that was obviously Pereira at Leicester. But that, I'm yet to work out, or I'm yet to come to any sort of conclusion in my mind whether that was through him wanting to invert the winger off that side and having a preference to it being better down the right-hand side, or him using the tools that he's got to work with. And when you look over at Leicester on the left-hand side, most people would say that maybe his right-back would be a better fit for that job.
Yeah. I think for me, what I want to see out of this, I don't know whether he's going to do this, is I kind of want them rotating. Like I want to see both wing backs coming in and sort of inverting, because I think Reece James does suit that. You and I have had this discussion loads of times, mate. We think that Reece could be an excellent DM. So really, this does work very well for him. And also, if it means that he isn't doing those big explosive runs that he needs to do when he bombs on, gets balls in from the right hand side, sort of like the traditional sort of like high and wide wing back, that's only going to be a good thing. And maybe that will mean that he gets injured less often. But I do think, if you're looking at Reece now and you're looking at Cucurella, both of them are going to want to be inverting. and one of them isn't going to be able to in that system. Like one of them does need to sort of bomb on and help the guys up the pitch. So it will be very interesting to see who he does choose. And I don't think we as Chelsea fans know who that's going to be yet. We're going to have to see some of those pre-season games. And actually, I think more than ever, these pre-season games are very important to know how we're going to set up. Because you know what it was like in pre-season last season? What we were doing is who's actually going to even play? Like who's actually even good? Because we had so many new signings. We didn't even know who was going to be setting it up.
Funny thing is, though, as the season progressed, pre-season feels like it held more weight in terms of once his hands weren't as tied with the injuries, you actually saw a little bit more what Mauricio Pochettino wanted to do. And then you could hold a mirror up to pre-season and go, oh, well, we sort of saw a lot of this in pre-season. Did you find that, or is that just me putting two and two together?
I think so. Like, obviously, he did. We always said, and I always felt this was harsh, that he didn't have a plan. Pochettino. He didn't have a style of football. He wasn't really improving players and actually and sort of getting the most out of them in his system, his tactical system. But I think you're totally right. You know, we saw it in pre-season. We were playing flowing football. There was 1-2s going on. You know, Maatsen was scoring goals from outside the area. Do you know what I mean? Like we were seeing link-ups between
Maatsen, the number 10.
Yeah, exactly.
That was a mad one.
Exactly. Yeah. That feels like a lifetime ago, doesn't it? And then Jackson was having amazing interplay with Mudryk. And mate, honestly, fucking hell, if we go back to that, we thought we were going to win the league at the end of pre-season. That's why I'm really excited to see what happens with Maresca. I think honestly, I'm going to be watching pre-season more aggressively than I think I've ever watched it before because I'm just fascinated to see how he lines up.
Aggressively, what do you mean? You're going to be screaming at the TV more. You're going to be pumping some weights.
Basically, mate.
Listening to a bit of DMX during the game.
It's at 3 a.m.
Yep.
Middle of the night. Probably all the lights are going to be off in my room. I'm going to be sat in bed watching it, and Mudryk's going to be playing. So
you're going to watch the game as well.
When
we talk about obviously the inverted fullback role, it's a very good point you made, because if one inverts, you're probably going to want one to bomb on, or maybe you're just going to want one to form a back three. I think there's a chance we see Reece James tested out in a centre-back position in pre-season, and I think that the luxury we have of having an exquisite player in Malo Gusto may put more pressure on us to experiment with that. However, it's also been noted, and listen, I'm not a doctor, believe it or not, that Love Doctor, yeah, definitely, Dr. Love. It has been noted that some of the injuries and some of the problems that Reece James has had with his availability and staying fit could come down to the style of play, so possibly you could see him inverted. Yeah. But for me, I'm a man that likes to go with what I know in life, and what I know so far is a pivot of Caicedo and Cucurella is pretty fucking watertight, mate, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
So, if you look at that, you would imagine that the inverted fullback might change side this season, and instead of being the right-hand side, like we've seen in a sort of the past of Enzo Maresca's teams, it's way more likely to be the left-hand side. Now, the only thing is this, right? When you look at the players that might have a head start on him, Reece James, Ben Chilwell, Malo Gusto, what have them three got in common?
Tell me.
None of them are going to any international tournament, and your boy Cucurella is going away with Spain. So they may have a little bit of a head start in terms of how quickly they're back, how quickly they're able to start work with Enzo Maresca. But, you know, July the 1st, I think that is his start date. Whoever's in there from then, they're only going to have 3 weeks until we go away on the pre-season tour with him, aren't they? Yeah,
it's going to come around really quickly. I am really looking forward to getting into pre-season. I think the 3 weeks before, he's obviously going to have to do a fuckload of work, isn't he? And there's some weird things that we've been hearing about like apps and stuff like that he's going to be using to connect with all the players and stuff. I'm really interested to know about the style of play, man. I know you've been looking into it. How do you think we're going to sort of play in that pre-season?
Well, it's no secret that Enzo Maresca is a sucker for possession. He absolutely loves the possession. And obviously, when you look at Leicester in the Championship last season, they do have a lot of quality in comparison to the teams that they're probably playing week in, week out. Last season, they had an average of 61% possession.
Yeah.
Pretty good.
It's all right.
Better than Chelsea's.
What did we have? Yeah. What was ours?
We had 58% possession on average. However, it's not massively different, but a lot of those statistics were skewed on the early season possession we had, where we had a lot more. Now, listen, we can look at it and we can go, okay, Manchester City last season recorded an average of 66% possession. Sort of expected, not that shocking. You'd imagine Man City would have there or thereabouts. And it'd be very easy to then go, well, the more possession you have, the more control of matches. But we remember last season, didn't we?
Yeah, we do. Like when we were trying to break down some of those low blocks, we had a lot of possession, didn't we?
How much possession?
Tell me.
Mate, listen to this, yeah? We were both at the Nottingham Forest match at the Preseason, weren't we, when we lost 1-0?
Yeah, that was a shit game.
That was an awful game.
Yeah.
And not only was it an awful game because we lost the game, but do you think that game was exciting to watch? No?
Awful.
No? We had 77% possession.
I didn't know it was
in that
much.
game.
That's ridiculous.
And we lost it
Yeah.
against the team that had it not been for the other teams being substandard, they'd have been relegated last
Is there
season.
almost a direct correlation between games that we had the most possession and some of our worst results?
Well...
Funny you say that.
Funny I say that, or you say that, because a couple of weeks before, we recorded 76% possession. Must have been a good game. We had 76% possession. Do you know what game it was?
No.
It was the 3-1 loss to West Ham.
That was bad.
There we go. By the way, we actually recorded 17% less possession than we did in that game against West Ham when we absolutely pumped Everton 6-0 at Stamford Bridge. So sometimes the more of the ball you have does not correlate in the more of the control of the game you have and the better results you then generate.
What would be interesting to know is in the games that Maresca had in that bad spell that he had for Leicester, what was that? Was the possession massively different in that?
It wasn't massively different, actually.
Really?
And
Like,
we'll get
it
onto
stays
that.
consistent.
We will get onto that. But, you know, we're looking at the thing of saying, the more of the ball you have, the more you're able to keep control of the games. I would look at it the other way, to be honest. Say, for example, to use the boxing analogy, the more punches someone throws at you, the more information you're going to be able to download on them. And I would say the same in possession terms. Also, not only that, but the more your team are going to have to take shape, to actually install a defensive sort of I can never say that word. What is it?
Solidarity or
solidarity, yeah? To basically to get in better shape, right? The more of the ball you have, they're going to be able to get in better shape. And then it comes down to really picking a team apart. And one thing that we struggled with in the early season was the low block. We were finding it very, very hard to pick that low block apart at times.
What he loves, though, is he loves 1v1 battles, doesn't he? He likes to isolate wingers and let them use their 1v1 ability. And you have to say, mate, we've got some very good 1v1 players. Like, if we can isolate 1v1s, Madueke, I'm looking at
Madueke. Continue.
I'm looking at Mudryk. He can beat a man. Pace, he can. He can get round a man.
Take away the bias.
No, but come on. He's way faster than every other player. He could just bat it past him and go on.
He can,
mate. He will do that.
He can.
Sterling can beat a man.
Don't move on. He can. He can. But you know it's bad when he is using Sterling to make his point. That's when you know it's bad.
Elise can do that.
Elise can. Brilliant. Let's get him in. But answer me a question. Did Mudryk do it all that much?
I don't think he got that many opportunities to do it. I think.
Well, listen, we're going to pull out some stats and expectations in a minute, and maybe that puts Mudryk, your boy, in a position of strength under Enzo Maresca.
Now you're talking my language.
Now I'm talking your language. But obviously, look, teams like Man City, who had very high possession stats, teams like Leicester, they're just pound for pound so much better than 90% of the teams they play in a week in, week out sort of basis in their respective leagues. So I don't think that we can look at it all that much and go, oh, well, that'll work well for Chelsea. One thing I do know is this Chelsea side did grow and they did get better and they got better at breaking down low blocks towards the end of the season. It went unnoticed a little bit, but we did really flourish and we did get a lot better at it. So hopefully the good work that Pochettino did can lay some sort of foundations for Enzo Maresca, and he'll be coming into a side who have a lot more understanding about each other going forward. You know, I often say that it's very hard to grow through the good times. I think growth comes a lot of the time in life through the hard times, and my God, we had a lot of hard times to grow. The other side, you can look at it. I said, for example, having all that possession can obviously, or did prove to be a hindrance to Chelsea early on in the season, because the teams were just taking shape and they were going, come on then, you come to us and we'll back our ability to counter-attack and to make the most out of the small amount of chances we've got. And obviously, time in, time out, we did see teams do that. But you can also look at it from a patience point of view, can't you? And you can say, if we are happy with not playing rock and roll football, and we're happy with keeping the ball and passing it around and keeping the possession, then over time we're going to eventually draw teams out. No team's fans want to see the home team, say for example, we're playing at Stamford Bridge, have the ball in the middle of the park and in the defence, and that team just sit back. The fans are going to get off their back. They're going to have to draw them out. And then, if we can penetrate the lines with the passes we've got, I mean, we saw Caicedo start to do it time in, time out towards the end of the season. If we can penetrate the lines of those passes, move the ball on to players like, for example, a Cole Palmer, who can definitely work his way out of tight spaces, then we may have more success. And the other thing is this, if you actually look at it, we did have success even when teams played the low block against us. We were a casualty of bad luck and, let's be honest, substandard finishing. And as the season went on, we saw less of that. A lot of the time, right, these sort of key chances that would have swung games, like the Nottingham Forest game, and like, for example, look at the West Ham game that I said about 3-1. Enzo misses a penalty in that game, that could have put us 2-1 up after Carney Chukwuemeka wriggles out of what? A tight space where he didn't have a lot of options on and is able to score. So although the stats read in one way, the context is we were missing big chances left, right and centre. The main man doing so, Nicholas Jackson. He was missing a lot of key opportunities. However, are we both in agreement? His form ticked up towards the end of the season.
And the goal conversion stats got better.
They got way better. Let me hit you with another one, mate. Right? Nkunku. He was out all season. He hardly fucking played for us. But what did he do when he played?
He scored goals.
He scored a couple of goals. Can I remind you of a few of those goals? Oh, the one away at Anfield. Would you say he wriggled out of a tight space and made something?
He only beat 5 players.
No, he only beat 5, all in the box, by the way. When's that heard of? Even for example, like you see the other goal he scored against Wolves away. That was a goal that he more or less made for himself. Yeah. So what I'm saying is, again, it's a big if when you're Chelsea Football Club and you've had a couple of seasons riddled by injuries. But if we can keep players fit, I don't know if the low block thing is definitely going to be something that massively hinders us under Enzo Maresca.
One way to get rid of the low block is to get teams to come at you, as you say. Do you know what I mean? And do you remember, mate, back in the day, I remember sitting at Stamford Bridge and my old man having a go at players because all they used to do was pass it from one side of the defence to the other. And what we didn't realise at the time was that was intentional. That wasn't like defenders playing the easy pass and trying to stat pads. What it was trying to get the opposition to come onto you, draw them out, get the lines bigger between the lines, the spaces, I should say, between the lines, and then attack. And so I think we really needed elements of that last season. Do you remember there were games? Was it the Brentford game that we conceded relatively last minute? It was 2-2.
We conceded right at the death in that game. Do you know what I mean? We actually had a chance to win it at the end as well, didn't we? But,
there you go. I think under Enzo, maybe what we're doing is we're locking down a few games because we are playing the easier passes and we're keeping the ball a bit more.
That's music to my ears. To my ears, because one of our worst traits last season was the chaos. And the inept ability of being able to kill off games. Let's say, for example, the Brentford game. The Brentford game that we said we drew 2-2, we should have killed that game off. Easily. That game should have been put to bed. Some games, like when we played Enzo Maresca'S Leicester last season, we gave them a route back into the game, as we did with Leeds in that game, So game management was something that we lacked last season, and we always put it down to the youth and the sort of ignorance of youth of the squad. Could be right. We could have been putting it down to the right thing. But guess what? We could have been putting it down to the wrong thing. And maybe Mauricio Pochettino is not a very good manager at being able to put games to bed when we have got our foot on the opposition's throat. And maybe, when we look at his tactics, when we look at his style of play, maybe, just maybe, Enzo Maresca may be a better man for that job.
What did Jose used to do? Jose used to bring on a defender.
Park the bus at 1-0.
He literally would do that, wouldn't he? And we'd never concede a goal. I can't even remember a time where Jose would do that and then we'd end up sort of drawing a game. It never happened. We always used to win.
Well, there you go.
But Italian manager comes in again, mate.
There you go, mate. We've had some great ones. We've had some great ones, and we've had some league title winning Italians. So when we look at the tactics and the style of play he plays, there's a very obvious question that the watchers right now are going to want to know. They're going to want to know who are the personnel, who are going to be the key players for Enzo Maresca, and ultimately, how does he line up this Chelsea side with or without any signings? But we're going to tell them that in another video,
Ah,
aren't we?
you teased them. That's not fair.
You're teasing
That's
me.
not fair.
Well, it is fair because they've only got to wait a couple of days. We are going to drop a video on Enzo Maresca's ideal Chelsea lineup. And we're going to obviously drop that with the vision of who is going to be playing best in that system. So if we're in a possession-based team, probably some of your favourite players who lose a lot of the ball in trying to be a little bit more creative, they might miss out.
Who are you talking about here?
I'm just saying.
Who are you talking about?
I'm just saying. Should we give them teasers?
Go on, who are you talking about? Who's missing out then? Who's giving the ball away too much for you? Maybe let's just do one name. Who are you talking? Because it feels like you're calling someone out right now.
I'm not calling anyone out.
It feels like you are.
I'm not calling anyone out because the name I'm about to give you is a man I love dearly.
Go on.
But Petrovic doesn't start for Enzo Maresca. It's going to be Robert Sanchez.
It's gutting, isn't it?
We
love Petrovic
We
so
do
much.
love him. But that's just a sneak peek. There will be more shocks in that video. We'll get on to that. Training from Enzo Maresca. Now listen, when Mauricio Pochettino came in, we heard a lot about the Gayson test.
Yep. A lot of running.
Yeah.
Mauricio Pochettino wants his players running left, right, and centre.
Well, Enzo Maresca wants his players dieting left, right, and centre, so we've heard. We've heard that he's going to bring in quite a strict diet. Listen, I don't know whether Mauricio Pochettino was ordering bargain buckets to the changing rooms and letting them have a bit of KFC before the matches, but could you imagine that they were on that looser diet?
What I've heard is that he said he didn't want pizza or anything like that, but he allowed them to have like the sauces and like a couple of chocolate bars here and there. Like, there's a lot of managers that
Is there anything wrong with a pizza?
Well, yeah, for professional footballers, yeah.
Oh, really?
So.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So no manager would have won the league giving his players pizzas every week, would he?
Absolutely none.
No. Okay.
Can you name an example?
Yeah, I can. Claudio Ranieri. You don't remember that? Claudio Ranieri was buying them lot pizzas all the time, mate.
What was the game that says Fabregas threw pizza at someone?
That was, he threw it down at Peatsgate in a tunnel.
Was
Old
that
Trafford.
Man United?
Threw it at Fergie.
Yeah. Legends.
That's
what I've just loved Cesc even more now.
You do not. Listen, you can throw a pizza at a lot of people, but you don't throw one at Fergie,
He did it. I rate it.
He don't give a fuck.
I love it. I love Cesc. Shame that he's not involved in the squad.
He may well end up being. You never know.
I hope he's involved as a coach.
You never know.
He's turned it down, apparently.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah. He's
I rate it
well.
because he wants to be a manager.
He's going to do well, man, says Fabregas. Yeah. I can see that.
Me too.
You know, when you look at the job that Xabi Alonso's done, he's in the mould.
He's been under a lot of very good managers as well. I've heard.
He? Oh,
yeah.
That's how he gets
He's been
through the back door. Then.
Oh,
back door.
He's been under Wenger.
Yeah.
Been under Pep.
Yeah, Pep's.
Been under Jose.
Bloody hell. He's a slag, isn't he? He's a right old slag, old Fabregas, isn't he? You know.
Oh, dear.
How's he get anything done?
Oh, he's a busy man.
Let's move on.
He started young,
Let's
didn't he?
move on. Training, and obviously the diet in particular, that might be a bit of a shell shock to the system, for example. Like, what is he gonna command of a meeting, like, or demand, I should say? What is he gonna have a problem with, and what is he gonna be cool with? Like, do you remember we've heard some horror stories about when Fabio Capello came into the England setup? He banned ketchup.
It causes a lot of issues, that does.
What, banning ketchup?
Just the diet in general. Like, if you don't let people be free, it really does wind a lot of people up. I mean, Jamie Vardy, what was his famous pre-match diet?
Oh, yeah, Red Bull and what was it?
Glass of port.
What was it?
Port, wine.
Wine? What, night before the game?
Day before the game, apparently.
Okay, no. Apparently Tyson Fury has a couple of pints before his fight, but...
He has a couple of fights before his pints.
yeah, that's it. Same here, didn't we all? Yeah. Can you ban ketchup?
I don't think you should. I think it causes more hassle than
what
it's worth.
condiment would you ban? Like, just from existence? Like, what is the worst
I think mint sauce.
Fuck off.
I think mint sauce is a joke.
Mint sauce is absolutely banging,
mate. Let me know in the comments.
You'd have a lamb
It's a
shank
joke.
without any mint sauce.
Gravy is all you need. Gravy is all you need.
Yeah, with a bit of mint in. With a bit of mint in.
No, you're a freak if you have the mint.
Mate.
Lamb does not need mint. It doesn't need it.
It does need
Keep mint to toothpaste.
No.
I don't want to be like, I don't want to be having my lamb and going, oh yeah, I feel like I just brushed my teeth.
You don't. It's a different type of mint.
I don't want to be having chocolate.
Different type
and thinking,
of mint.
I don't want to be having chocolate and thinking, oh yeah, I've just brushed my teeth. It's wrong.
Yeah.
Mate, you know you're wrong.
No, I know. I don't know.
What would you ban then?
Mayo, I don't like it.
So you just had to go at me for mint sauce, and you banned mayo, which is pretty much the most common condiment in the entire world.
Yeah, I don't like it.
What do you think about people that just dip chips in mayo?
Mate, do you know what my little girl does? Do you know what my little girl does?
What do you do?
She goes, Daddy, can I have ketchup? And I'm like, yeah, you can have ketchup. Put the ketchup there. She gets a McDonald's chip. She dips it in like it was, do you remember, what's the thing you used to dip the lolly in the sugary thing? You take the sugar off, but you don't bite the lolly. And I'm like, it's not a lolly. You don't just dip your chips in it like that. But if he does come in and ban ketchup, would the players have the ump with that?
I think there could be a revolt, mate. Maybe he's gone in January because of that.
God. Whatever you do not back Conor Gallagher and do not ban ketchup because you'll have shit on your hands if you do either of those two things.
All over your hands.
Also, you touched on it before. He's thinking about, he is apparently going to install some sort of training app in the players' phones so they can get up to scratch and learn exactly what is required of them, what is expected of them.
He's coded it himself. That's how good he is. Yeah, that's how talented he is. He's a good
man of many talents, this fella. But let's be honest, like, he's going to be doing that for the guys that are away on international duty.
Yeah.
Yeah? Okay.
Why are we reading into this much?
This is what we do. This is what we do, mate. If you're away on international duty, Conor Gallagher, for example, you're starting week in, week out for England in the Euros, and it's the night before the semi-final, let's say.
He won't be a Chelsea player by that point. So
he should be all right. His app would just say bye. But yeah, okay.
That'd be a bad way to do it.
Yeah, that
little direct message on the app.
Would be a bad way.
Sozcon, don't need to come into training tomorrow.
See ya.
Lol.
Lots of love. Lots of love. So say it's Cole Palmer, for example.
Yeah.
Realistically, mate, if you're away with England and you're deep into an international tournament, are you checking the app?
No.
Are you seriously thinking, I've got the weight of a nation on my back, but I want to know whether Maresca wants me in the 10 or on the right wing? You're not, are you?
Cucurella in that final is not going to be thinking about that.
You think Spain are getting to the final? Spoiler.
I think Spain are going to be pretty good in this tournament.
Do you know what Spain are, though? They're the nearly team in the Euro and the international tournaments. Like, because since they won them three, do you not think, like, they're never fancied, yeah? Then it gets going. You go, fuck me, they play some good football. They've won 6-0 today. Oh, they're absolutely... Then go out to like Croatia or something.
On England, that team, and not Spain?
No, because England don't play the good football. No, like Spain play some...
Yeah.
They play some football,
Mate,
my
think
boy.
of their squad, though. Rodri. They've got Dani Olmo, great player.
Keep going.
Williams, really good player.
Yeah.
Morata,
Captain.
captain.
Who are they having up front?
Carvajal on the right.
Yeah, but...
David De Gea in goal. No,
yeah, but you
he's
just
not playing,
hit the
is
nail
he?
on the head there, mate. Morata up front.
Mate, they've got options up front. They've got Joselu. They've got, mate, Spain are a decent team. Very decent team.
No one's saying they're not decent, but they're not better than England.
Cucurella is going to bag a goal in the final. Call it out.
Well, maybe.
Then we can doubt him.
Yeah, doubt me now. Should we go with some pros and cons?
Yes.
For Enzo Maresca?
Yeah.
Shall I go pros?
I think let's start positive.
Let's start positive.
Yeah.
All right, I'll read some pros out, and then you can let me know if you've got any more. Pros for me is obviously he's worked with a lot of young players during his successful, I may add, time with the Manchester City under-21 squad. Some of them, notably, that he's worked with are now going to be at Chelsea. Obviously, it is no secret that Enzo Maresca has worked with Cole Palmer. It is no secret that Enzo Maresca has worked with Romeo Lavia. Yes. This one I'm horny about. You're gonna hear my thoughts on Romeo Lavia in the starting 11 under Maresca videos.
Another spoiler.
Obviously, as well, he's worked with Cesar Casadei.
Yes.
Yeah.
Cesare.
Didn't always start him though.
Didn't start him that much.
Nah, he started him a bit.
About 50% of the time.
Yeah.
It's not that good, really, is it?
We got called back at the halfway mark.
Yes.
Yeah, okay. We're all singing from the rooftops about Amari Hutchinson. Have a look at how many games Amari Hutchinson started in the first half of that season under Kieran McKenna at Ipswich. About 50% of them, wasn't it? And he pushed on as it went on. And I think that Casadei would have become a player that was more important to them.
Is he good enough to start for Chelsea?
No.
Yeah, so.
He's good enough to stay, though. And not
Good
go out
enough
on loan.
to be a squad player.
Yeah,
I think he's probably the 7th best centre mid we've got.
Put him behind Ugachukwu.
Put him behind Carney, Ugachukwu. Yeah, I would. Yeah.
Carney's going to be a player.
Carney's going to... Talk about starting 11s. Another spoiler alert. He's got to be in the conversation.
He's got to be in the conversation, but I don't know if he'll be in the 11. Let's move on to the fact that he's just come off a successful season with Leicester, hasn't he? Like, when you look at Mauricio Pochettino coming in, everyone's going to go, hold on, he won Ligue 1. Well, you know, there's not. I almost shouldn't give out a medal if PSG win Ligue 1 because it's just inevitable. Of course, they won Ligue 1, and so they should. Do you know what I mean? Like, but in his first season, he didn't win it, and that was pretty embarrassing. And ultimately, PSG were the ones that made the decision to let go of Mauricio Pochettino. So whether you can say, okay, well, silverware would prove this point wrong, I don't feel Mauricio Pochettino was coming in off the back of a stellar season, okay? And whether you like it or not, whether it's second division or not, I am going to claim it. He's coming in off the back of a good season, of a championship. Champion season.
Okay. I'll repost that in the cons.
Yeah, yeah.
Rather than doing it now, because I do want to do it now.
Listen, I'm sure you'll have a bit of pushback on it, but we'll wait till we get there because I might possibly agree with you anyway.
Yeah.
Playing devil's advocate for the most part.
Fair
he's also worked directly under Pep Guardiola in their treble-winning season. Obviously, it's easy, it's lazy almost to make or to draw the comparison, I should say, to Mikel Arteta, who is now doing well. He's a disciple of Pep Guardiola's, but then, you know.
There's a lot of disciples of Pep Guardiola that aren't that good. Can you
Hag.
think of any in the Premier League? Yeah.
Ten Hag.
Yeah.
Who else? Who are the other Pep?
Vincent Kompany?
Yeah, he was never assistant manager though. He's not a direct disciple.
He was learning under Pep. He was an elder statesman in that dressing room.
Okay, well,
he did all his coaching badges as a player at Man City.
He did. But you know, Alex Ferguson was the greatest manager of all time, and who that worked under Ferguson has been a good manager.
I honestly,
Gary Neville,
shit. Yeah, he was crap.
Yeah.
Any others? Steve Bruce.
Steve Bruce. I mean, we'll upset Brian here, but a championship level manager. He's all right. He's a few promotions from the championship. Guess
Mate,
what? That's exactly what Maresca's had, and we just appointed him.
Brian is going to disown you for even saying that. How dare you?
Giggs, he was never great.
No.
Yeah. Roy Keane.
Awful.
There you go.
Any more?
Isn't Ruud van Nistelrooy doing
Phil
quite
Neville?
well? Neville?
Phil Neville.
Yeah, Phil Neville. He didn't do well.
Neville is the dad.
Who else went into management from that?
Loads
From
of
them
them
lot.
did. Loads of them did.
Yeah, but none of them did great. Otherwise, we'd be talking about them now. Michael Carrick, he's doing all right.
Yeah, Michael Carrick is doing all right.
Yeah. There you go. Kieran McKenna?
Was he involved under Fergie? No,
maybe
came
not.
in
It was
after.
something to do with them. But yeah, to be honest, mate, that's pretty much where the pros end.
Oh, okay. I thought you were going to have a lot longer list.
All right.
I can help you out here.
Go on, then.
I can help you out here. I think his system is really fitted for the squad.
He should fit like a glove to what the board want.
It just works. I think the fact that he is a yes man could be painted as a negative, but I think in this system, a yes man might actually be happy families. Like, if you think about it.
Mate, he's worked under Pep. He's come from the school of Man City. And this might be really controversial, but Man City are run by yes men. Like, Pep Guardiola is a yes
not
man.
A yes man.
He's a yes man in the way. He's a yes man in the way. Yes, I'll pretend I know nothing about the charges. No, he's a yes man in the way of, like, I don't think Pep makes the final call on who's brought in. Here's the difference. Once they bring him in, if Pep don't fancy him, they don't play, and that's tough. Whereas, like, with Chelsea, clearly the manager is going forward under this ownership, not going to make the call on who's brought in. But much like, for example, you found out with Thomas Tuchel, for example, you found out to an extent with Mauricio Pochettino, if he wants to hold on to a player that you want to go, or he doesn't want to play a player that you've brought in, then he'll suffer the wrath of the board, and that's very much it. So to an extent, I feel like Man City even is a culture where you don't really decide, the powers that be above you decide on who's brought in. So he'll be a little bit more used to that. But definitely, no matter who, there's going to be some form of teething issues, isn't there?
Yeah, no, I agree. And I also think the other one that I will mention is, I think he will improve players. Like, what they were saying in all the briefings when we were hiring him is that we need someone to sort of teach football. That sort of thing where you're sort of like actively going out there on the training pitch and improving players. And I do think there are players in the squad that need improvement. You could easily argue that Mikhailo needs to get some coaching and an arm around him. I think you could argue that Noni Madueke needs to do the same. Like, there are players up and down the pitch that are inexperienced, that are young, and that could do with getting an arm around them and someone that knows their
Do
stuff.
a bit of Maresca love.
Exactly. And
There you go.
That man could do
Why
it.
don't you give us some of the cons of Enzo
Okay.
Maresca?
quite
I think
a
this
few.
list might be a little bit longer. Because,
There's quite a
listen,
few.
we agreed that it's a gamble here, so let's go with it.
So I think the fact that he's never managed in the Premiership really worries me. I think, the Premiership is the cauldron that it is. Coming into a very competitive Premier League, probably the most competitive it's ever been. The pressure, for me, this is the biggest con of all. The pressure on him is more than any other manager that I think we've had in the last 10 years.
Guess what?
Come.
Barring Jose round 2, no manager that has ever won the league for Chelsea had ever managed in the Premiership before.
Look at that.
I've just made that up off
Look
the
at
top of my
that
head. Is that
stats.
true? I think that's true, isn't it?
Look at that. Look at those stats.
I think Carlo Ancelotti had never managed a
Potter.
Premier League game before.
Potter.
Potter was great. He had a bit of experience.
Yeah.
No, but Jose had never managed in the Premier League before. Carlo Ancelotti had never managed in the Premier League before. Conte had never managed in the Premiership
This is
before.
so disingenuous, though, because you're talking about unbelievably good managers. You're talking about world-class managers.
Jose had never won the Championship.
He hadn't. But what
He won the Champions.
what has he won?
Won the Champions League, but
with the a Porto side.
yeah,
Carlo Ancelotti had won several Champions Leagues.
Yep.
We're talking about people that had insane CVs. Basically, the best managers in the world, we got them.
Okay.
And now we've got a guy who has won a championship, who has done something at Man City under 21s. It's a bit of a fall from grace.
It's a massive fall from grace.
Yeah.
But I will always play devil's advocate and just say that managers, albeit with a much, much better back catalogue of managerial experience and dealing with top names, they have managed Chelsea and managed Chelsea to good results without having Premier League experience.
Do you know who else hadn't ever managed in the Premier League?
Who?
Andre Villas-Boas.
Do you know what else?
Not saying he's... And do you know what Andre Villas-Boas did when he first came in? Strict diet.
Do you know what else? Do you know what else? How did Andre Villas-Boas make his name?
Go on.
Through being an assistant.
There you
Fucking hell.
It's a bit scary, isn't it?
Oh dear. Go on then. Hit me with some more cons.
Do you know what? Another one I was looking at was how shit he was at set pieces.
Oh, well, we have just appointed a set piece coach though from Brentford.
We have.
Yep.
Quavers come in. And I'm glad he
Quaver?
has come in.
Best type of crisp.
Quavers.
Quavers. Best cheesy crisp.
No, I disagree.
Because obviously you got Whatsits, you got. I just like cheesy puffs from.
Cheesy puffs are good. Yeah, just like an own brand cheesy puff. Yeah.
Had a
Mini
few
cheddars.
knickknacks. Had a few cheddars. Mini cheddars aren't crisps.
Mini cheddars are. They're in the crisp
They're not
market.
crisps. They're not crisps. I'll tell you what.
They're
Okay.
not crisp.
Okay.
Let me
Is
know
it-
in the chat if mini cheddars are crisp. They come in a packet. You buy them in a pub. They're crisps.
Is a Jaffa cake a biscuit?
No, it's a cake. It's a biscuit for tax reasons.
Yeah, but what makes it a cake then?
It's when it goes off. Does it go hard or soft?
Yeah, hard.
yeah. There you go. What's the biscuit
Biscuits
do?
go soft.
Yeah.
Cakes go hard.
Yeah. Well,
Anyway,
you always you
make
are
a
always
separate
on
video
the
on
hard and
biscuits.
soft test.
Yeah, there you go. Any more cons?
Oh yeah, I've got fucking loads of cons.
Let's just breeze through these because
Yeah.
we don't need the negativity.
Got
He's gonna
loads of these.
fucking smash it.
I got loads of these things. What about the trophy records? Like actual trophies, not championship trophies.
He hasn't got many, has he?
No, he hasn't. No. The
Under
one
21's title.
do you know what I did? I did some research for some Leicester fans. Spoke to some Leicester fans about this.
Yeah, you did some research on under 21s.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, lots of it. Spoke to some Leicester fans, and they were really worried about his lack of ability to move on from the plan A. Like basically, what they say, he's got the 4-3-3 system. That's all he plays. If it doesn't go well, he's not changing it. And in fact, he threatened to leave Leicester in January because there were people questioning him and saying, you don't have a plan B. What's going to go on? They were on an awful run of form and he wouldn't change it.
Well, let's speak about that run of form because the concerning thing for me here is the fact that they didn't end the season great and they almost limped over the finish line, really.
They almost lost it to Ipswich.
Mate, they failed to win 9 out of their last 16 games.
Whereas, what did we do in our last 16 games,
Went
Joey?
fucking chicken oriental, mate. We absolutely had it.
So that worries me. And then the other thing that the Leicester fans were saying was that he wasn't that good at subs. And we've been
there.
through it. We've just been through it with subs. And so that really concerns me. Considering that our squad is going to be deeper than it ever has been
Can I
in
tell
the
you-
last 3 or 4 years.
Can I tell
now.
you something that he was quoted as saying at Parma, where he obviously, sort of
Fell out acrimoniously.
notoriously failed during
Yeah.
his time at Parma.
Well, how many months was he there for? Not very long.
Who's counting?
Exactly.
4.
Yeah.
No, I don't know how many was he there for.
It wasn't. It was like less than a year.
Yeah.
Considerably less than a year.
He was quoted as saying that his Parma squad had been wildly thrown together with too many new players.
It's not looking good, is it?
Who does that remind
It
you of?
reminds you of a certain team in West London. That does.
That for
That's
me
damning.
was damning.
It's damning.
Damning.
It's damning.
Oh dear.
It's damning.
And he's obviously taken over from a manager that the players were happy with.
Yeah.
Listen, do you know? Have you ever heard Joe Cole? My pal, Joe Cole.
What you know Joe Cole?
My
do
pal,
you?
Joe Cole. Yeah.
Have you met him before?
What, 3-4 times?
Have you got his number in your phone?
Stop asking that. Stop asking that. I don't want his number, okay?
Yeah. You just
Because
you
he
just chat on
don't
Twitter.
leave my side. I don't. Why I'm going to ring someone that's just waiting for? He's got the
Just
car
instant
running out
DM.
there for me now.
Yeah.
But basically, he said that he had spent a lot of time at Cobham this season. And he said the boys fucking love Poch, mate.
Yeah, we knew that. What about all the messages they left Poch after he left?
Oh,
what about
yeah.
Nicholas Jackson with the old?
Yeah. He don't care, old Jacko, does he?
I fucking love Jackson.
Yeah,
Do you know what? I really, in a weird way, I hope we do sign a number 9. I hope Jackson just fucking outscores him.
Well, let's not hope for that. But
No,
yeah.
I do. I hope so. I want Jackson to be Drogba reincarnated. I really do.
Jackson is if I could go any player in history to take the ball on the turn, on the halfway line, on the counter attack, I'm going Nicholas Jackson.
Yeah, over all of them.
Over
Over
all of them.
Fernando.
All of them.
All of them.
All of them.
Over Aguero.
Mate,
Over Suarez.
all of them. Any more cons?
Yeah, there's another one that I thought is a bit more abstract. But do you want a manager that is happy just to be a coach? Do you want a manager like all of the best managers in the world? They are, aren't they?
What you want and what I mean, mate, you're saying that there, like, okay, there's so much more to it. There's a lot more to it. But if you just go on like top managers and their record in the transfer market, like, is Klopp that good?
No, but he's been backed by a really good director of football.
Well, there you go. But we can only deal with what we've actually got. So when you say, do I want this? What I want and what I'm going to get are two different things. But what I'm happy to settle on, ultimately, is if we are going to have this board and we can't do anything about it for the time being, I get you lot come into my inbox and say, you've got a voice, you can do, I can't do anything, mate. I'm sorry to break news to you.
tried.
I can't do anything, okay?
tried.
Other than turn up to protests, and I'm sure if there were any protests and there was...
No one turned up to the Poch protest.
No one turned up to it, mate. No one turned up to it. So if there was some sort of protest and there were sort of meaningful causes, then yes, I'll be there. But ultimately, I can't do anything really, realistically. And the way the club is run is the way the club are run. So do I then, for hope of us succeeding, want a manager that fits into the vision as best possible? Yeah, I do. Whether I believe the vision is the right thing and whatnot, I want a manager that's gonna fit the system best, and then at least we can go, okay, well, now we have our answers. Now we have closure.
Do you know what I would say on this is that the director of football, they have stuck their neck on the line here. And if this doesn't work out, which we very much hope that it does, I hope that he's incredibly successful and we have 5 years of trophies and happiness and, player growth and all that sort of thing. But if this doesn't work out, you really do have to question the directors of football. Their neck is going to be on the line with this. 'Cause this is a tough decision.
This is a conversation, hopefully we never have, but ultimately we never start having until things start going wrong. Surely these lot have not put some ridiculous sacking payout in the contract.
I mean, they've given him a 5-year contract, Jerry.
So they probably have. It's probably going to cost us 10 mil to sack him.
You're going to have to pay out the 5 years of his contract. He's not on 50p a week, is he?
He's not going to be on peanuts, is he?
No. So to give him 5 years is also a bit of a weird one. And we have to call this out. I mean, with Pochettino, they only gave him 2 + 1.
2.
Two
This is
plus
5 + 1. That's 6. Quick maths.
You are good with the maths.
Yeah.
You've obviously studied quite hard.
Uh-huh.
I just find it baffling, actually, they're giving him that length of time. He must have had the best interview of all time, this guy. Look, I'm sounding negative.
Did you watch his little Maresca masterclass thing on YouTube where he's got the little pins on the board?
I love the Coach's
he's quite
Voice.
charming.
It's a great YouTube channel as well.
Yeah. What is it?
Coach's Voice.
Okay.
Shout out.
Shout out.
Second channel to, the Joe Knight podcast.
Yeah.
Joe Shields watches Joey Knight
Hold on.
first.
Hold on. third.
Yeah. Oh, sorry.
Joey Knight podcast.
Joey Knight boxing.
Joey Knight boxing.
The kickoff.
The kickoff.
Oh, okay.
Josh Aveste. And there you go. It's down in Conference League places, but it's all right. You know what I mean?
Conference League is fun.
Conference League's good. Don't down to all conference.
No, we sound negative.
Digging the old
right?
hole here.
Yeah, exactly. We sound negative here, and look, I've given you the cons, but I always played devil's advocate. I want to be positive about this guy. I am really optimistic, and I'm looking at the squad now. I'm looking at the signings that we are going to do. If we get Šeško, if we get Elise, if we get this goalkeeper, I honestly do rate it. I think we are a good side.
Them names have just made me horny.
I've been horny this whole show.
I tell you, I've been horny since the seatbelt signs went off. I'll tell you what else, mate. Those names have made me feel that we need to give a starting 11 or an ideal starting 11 for Enzo Maresca'S Chelsea.
Are we going to do a video about that?
Should we record it now?
Yeah, why not?
Let's record it now. Let's get into it. People, thank you very much for sticking around to the end of another video. If you did stick around to the end and you haven't already, make sure you smash the like button. Make sure you're subscribed, but not only to my channel, make sure you are subscribed to the Big Dogs channel. Josh Aveste is linked in the description to this video, and I will see you all in the next one.